I am blown away by the magic in this film. It feels really like you've found this spark that jumps between the ages, which is really miraculous to pull off. I'm curious, for you, first of all, coming into this, what was the essence of it? What was the thing that you knew was the core of it all?
It felt like it had a wonderful groundedness to it, right? And the scene in particular that I knew I was going to direct the film and I was reading was the birth scene. Okay, so you've got this couple who've been planning, meticulously for this event, and fate or destiny or life has other ideas and decides that actually the child is going to be born in this disabled loo in Croydon. And it's so sort of this earth and grounded and funny and absurd, and yet what it's after, and then its destination is the sort of the most profound moment in these people's lives. And that is something that vast numbers of people who have children go through, and bore people who have not had children about, and people who don't have children are like, oh, whatever, it's sort of. And I felt that was really truly magical, because actually on one level Nick, who's the writer whose work I adore and had worked with in the theatre, is working with sort of something very quotidian, and on the other hand he's dealing with something metaphysical and profound, and I thought it was just glorious.
Andrew, stepping into this character, this person, what did you see in him that you knew was the core of him?
I think at first I was more kind of taken by the themes of the film itself. I think the character was not. It was kind of secondary to what these two people were going through, and I just felt like it was thematically something I wanted to be a part of expressing for my own healing and for other people's healing. It felt like a worthy process, and I was just instinctively drawn to the circumstances, really, more than anything. And then in terms of the character, on the page, it was, I hadn't really played a character like this before. Someone who was very content in their ordinariness, and someone whose journey goes from this draw between the lines kind of person into finding their freedom and courage, and acknowledging their longing to live a more full and integrated life, and like not just looking through the window at life, but actually being in like forcing himself to be invited to the party of life. And through this relationship, obviously, is what gives him the impetus. It's like this is what I'm mysteriously drawn to, whether I like it or not. So I have a choice of either following that or not. And then in terms of the character, there was lots of discussion around, like with Nick and John, of certain things where, because on the page at first it read in a way, there was such, and I think on the screen as well, there's a real sensitivity and gentleness there, and a kind of a consideration and a non-reactive softness, which I really loved and I was really excited to play. And then we talked about needing to make sure that the opposite was there too, that there was assertiveness, that there was a kind of sense of dignity, boundaried. Like he's not going to be a doormat. He has to find his voice with this very, very powerful woman. Otherwise, she's not going to have any respect for him herself. So that was another thing that we started to play with the light and the kind of the opposites in him. And the same for Almut, for Florence's character.
The chemistry is off the charts. It's amazing to see the magnetism in both ways, polar opposites in ways and yet drawn together in other ways. How did you as a team work on this?
Slowly, gently. Yeah. I mean, it's like you can invite it to be released. I think there's a lot of nonsense talked about chemistry in lots of ways. You cannot manufacture it. So, what was great was you have two great actors who are both creatively ambitious for their own work, wanting to go places perhaps they haven't gone before. And I think quite quickly, without it being articulated in an almost non-verbal way, trusted that together they'd make something bigger than each of them, that it would be about the two of them in the film. And my job was to somehow keep everything out of the eye line, anything from getting in between them, distracting, to just sort of clear the way and occasionally nudge one way or another. But it was, I had the very lovely job of witnessing those moments being cracked and coming into life, flaring into life for the first time, and watching the depth that was flowing between them grow through the shoot, and it was quite something.
What can you add to that about working with Florence, who is a total badass but has such energy and life and love and everything else going on too?
Yeah, force. She's a real force, and I've obviously, like everyone else, I've been a fan and seen that in her since seeing Lady Macbeth when she was really young, and yeah, seeing her choices and how she's worked since, it's inspiring. And so I knew I wanted to work with her. I knew I was a fan, and then you take a leap of faith and you kind of go, well, I hope we get along, and I hope that neither of us cause problems for the other, at the very least. And then we discovered this real simpatico kind of respect and care for each other, support of each other's work, support in each scene, in each take, and a kind of building each scene together. And it was... it was inspiring, and it was a joy to go to work every day on this, for sure. In large part because of that dynamic, and because of the playfulness that could occur, and the naturalness that could be happening. So yeah, it was beautiful.
It's amazing. And congratulations on what a premiere here at TIFF, because it's been tremendously heartwarming to see the reaction.
Thank you very much.
It's been great. Yeah, it's very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Glad you liked it.
Cheers.
Very much.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Watch your head on the light there, yeah.